Hello and welcome back to HCS Weekly.
I thought, yo, this is my life. I have to go pro in Halo.
In my head, thought that was more efficient, and I guess I was right.
He was like the god. We would have to 2v1 like just to beat this guy. Like
I don't know, man. I'll try to reach you. You're like, oh, see you guys later.
A lot of Halo in my life, man. It's been a fun journey.
I love it. Hello and welcome back to HCS Weekly, your weekly destination for all things HCS. I'm your host, ShyWay, and we're back with a brand new episode. This episode has a theme, and that theme is community building. We're going to be building communities today with two specific individuals, both partnered with HCS Grassroots, the leaders of Europa Halo and GTHalo, two great communities that are quickly growing and gaining recognition in Halo. And there's so many other communities trying to do the same things. This is a great conversation to have, a great way to talk about, building communities and how you might be able to build your own as well. But before we get into that, we also have our news. We have our trick jump of the week. Let's kick off the news with MattyRums from DuCombo.com. How's it going, Matty?
Hey, not too bad. How about yourself?
Pretty good, man. You've got some news lined up for me. I haven't seen it yet. Let's learn about it
not
together.
That much.
Okay, it's a light week.
Yeah.
Light week.
First up was a playlist update for MCC. It evolved all around snipers. They removed the big team battle maps from the playlist on every single game, but they also added a bunch of maps, a bunch of the classic maps that we all know and love from each game. In Halo 3, they re-enabled the radar. It was originally, and then they disabled it, but they did put it back, and they said they'll be monitoring feedback to see whether or not it was a good idea.
Okay.
There was the one game type Sniper Hill, but they removed that from every map except Guardian, Citadel, and Heretic, and they reduced the weight on it because I guess not too many people were enjoying that game type.
Sniper Hill, is that like a moving hill? How does that work?
To be honest, I never even played it, so I don't even know. But I'm guessing it's a King of the Hill with,
snipers.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And then,
you think that would be fun, but hey.
Yeah. Snipers isn't really my thing because I suck at it, but... And then
that's why we're talking about Halo and not playing Halo, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then last up was they are adding Action Sack playlist 8v8 to Halo Combat Evolved.
Nice. Combat Evolved. So that's cool to still be adding content even to H1 as well, which of course has that cult following too. So some incentive to come back to that game. Of course, consistently adding new playlists, updating playlists, something that we see every single week, and that's good to see. Let's move over to Halo 5 as a refresh as well in BTB.
Yeah, big team battle got a big makeover.
Nice.
They improved the frame rate. They added more consistent settings like weapons, and they changed I don't know if they changed the starting weapon. I don't even remember, to be honest, but they decided on battle rifle AR starts.
Right.
It said that they tested, magnums and the stabilized BR versus the one once they changed it where it had a kind of a spread. But
right.
They didn't say which BR though, so that I'm not too sure of.
No, I believe it's still the Halo 5 BR, but unfortunately, right, the changes that they made to it, I know the BTB community wasn't happy with that. The classic BR is stronger. I don't know if it's the other way though. It's like maybe it's too strong. I'm not sure how the balancing goes for that. And then I think they talked about replacing it with, let's say, like a DMR or a light rifle, but those weapons are so powerful as it is. So kind of, right, it affects BTB as well. It sucks because the Halo 5 BR did kind of hit that sweet spot, but I guess at this time they can't seem to make any significant updates or even set it back for whatever reason. Old maps refresh, right? So they look beautiful now as well.
Yeah, I believe
nice.
It was all done by Forge members, and they did a really good job of it.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to the old maps, they added a bunch of new maps from Forge. They're called Crossbow, Fossil, Hinterlands, Meander, Panic Attack, Pioneer, and Voyager.
Ooh, nice. Sounds pretty good. And I know one person who's been having a field day with this is Ubernick. He's been tweeting about it. He's been getting retweeted by HCS. All of the BTB guys, I can assume Mint Blitz as well would be pretty invested in something like this. I miss Campy, man. Campy would have a ride with something like this.
We all miss Campy.
Yeah, so I know there's a lot of big BTB guys who are happy to see the refresh and happy to see the focus on BTB, and it's something that's so uniquely Halo, and I hope that it carries over well into Infinite. It kind of got the back burner for the longest time in Halo 5 because of Warzone, right? So it's nice to see a renewed focus there.
Yeah, they also, to round it off, they changed a few things to increase the likelihood of objective games. ending on a score rather than just running out of time and no one actually winning or hitting the mark.
Okay.
In Big Team Capture the Flag, they no longer require your team's flag to be at home base in order for you to score.
Interesting.
And then on Big Team Assault, they added where you can either hold onto the ball or the bomb for 5 seconds to arm it, or you can drop it in the circle and it would arm in 10 seconds. This way
wow.
you can drop it and still defend.
Right.
And one thing they stated was if you're even holding the bomb for 3 seconds and you die and the ball remains in the circle in 7
it's still
seconds.
arming.
Yeah, but it would go for the full 10 seconds. So in 7 seconds it would arm. So not
Smart.
until someone actually grabs it and moves it away will it disarm.
Right. So some interesting changes to the playlist as well. I guess having, not having to cap or have the flag in your base to cap speeds up gameplay, makes things a little more frantic. And then, it adds a whole other layer of strategy. You can even die with the ball, but you can still get that capture if you're not fast enough to grab it. So I guess that, I incentivize pushing in and being more aggressive in these game types as well, not just sniping the ball guy or whatever it is. Pretty cool. We also have the Halo Draft League Week 4 standings as well. Some updates there.
In the Champion League, Pillar of Autumn Division, first place is Bronze Boys, second is SV Program Coaches, the third is Lucent, and then the Spirit of Fire Division, first place is FTP, second.
Spirit of Fire Division, wow, okay. I get it.
There's two divisions, Pillar of Autumn and Spirit of Fire.
Smart.
First FTP, second Wasted Potential, third is your bye week. And then in the Challenger League, first place is Instinct, second is Bed Bath and Beyonce, and third is Platinum's Best.
Nice. Good to see Instinct on number 1, even if it is not the true Instinct. But that's good to see. Europa Halo, who we will be talking to in a little bit, they have some Halo May power rankings as well.
Yeah, they released the power rankings for the month. Batchford remains at the top of the list.
Man's killing it.
Second place is Looney, third Legends, fourth is Doodle, and fifth is Psycha. And they have a full top 10 list. It's up on their Twitter.
Awesome. So something nice to see, of course, incentivizing competition for European Halo players as well. And this is for Halo 5. So you get a mix. You get competition going on in Halo 3, Halo 5, a lot of different places to play. Continuing on, we have events this week as well. Give me the rundown.
Yeah, Saturday seems to be pretty busy. You have Breaking the Clutch, Halo Wars 2 E-League May Open.
Okay.
You have your DreamHack Dallas qualifier, which is the final one. So if you're
We're almost at DreamHack Dallas, guys, end of the month.
Yeah, I think 2 more weeks.
Yep.
But if you still haven't registered for that, you can now. And then there's also the SWAT Nation Cinco de Mayo SWAT Fiesta on Saturday. And on Sunday, we have the Microsoft Store 2v2 series is back.
Right. Nice to see that still continuing. The 2v2 series is a way that you can always connect and get, involved in events in your local community, wherever you are in North America, at least for now, hopefully soon in Europe, and something we'll talk about as well. But that does wrap up the news for this week. Of course, guys, if you want more information, all the details on this news, all you got to do is go to noobcombo.com. MattyRums has all of it there with the associated links. You can learn everything you need to know and get involved with local and future Halo everywhere in the world. So thank you, man, for joining me.
Anytime.
No problem. All right, that covers our news for the week, and unfortunately, we have been lied to. It looks like ClearlyMe is unable to make it to the show today. Not sure what he's up to, but he will be back next week with another trick jump, so stay tuned, guys. Of course, you can join ClearlyMe and his group at Discord. If you go at ClearlyMe on Twitter, you can start there, message him there. He has a Discord, he has a YouTube channel associated, learn about trick jumping, and just join the community. And speaking of community, we got 2 great individuals. I'd like to welcome both Martin Omes and Caolyn Doyle from Europa Halo and GTHalo. Welcome to the show, guys.
How's it going, Alex? Love seeing a friendly face.
Yeah, it's nice to see you, man. I don't get to see you in person. I know you guys have an event coming up. I'm going to find a way to get there. I don't think I can get there from the moment it starts, unfortunately.
It's drop in and play. Come whenever you're able to.
Yeah. And Caolyn, how you doing, man?
Oh, not too bad. Long day, work, and everything else coming into play. But it's not too bad here at the minute.
I know I had to pull you guys off your busy schedules. I know, Martin, apparently you're watching Reciprocity at the same time. What are you doing?
Yeah, I got my second laptop going right here. I'm just looking back and forth. So if you see my eyes drift, keep an eye on that screen over there, watching our Call of Duty team play at the same time. But this is the main focus. This is the main focus.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about community building. And you guys are recently part of the grassroots program. Congratulations for that. That's pretty amazing. And it's nice to see that 343 is showcasing that initiative. We have the tweet right here that about the grassroots program. So Halo, I'm going to preface this conversation here. Halo is a team game. Some of the best friendships and even relationships have come from playing Halo. Today, both of you run your own Halo communities, bringing together local players, pros, and fans to experience the joy of Halo multiplayer in a setting close to home, making friends, rivals, creating a sense of pride for your city or country, and of course, helping grow the popularity of the Halo community overall. And now you're grassroots partners as well. But let's rewind a little. How did you both get into Halo, and how did your respective communities begin? Start with who would like to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Me? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So 2017, I was sitting doing really nothing and just sort of not long.
Wait, is this how you got into Halo? This is how your community began.
I started this.
Halo in 2017.
No. I'm a H3 kid, and Halo GTHalo backed me up on that from talking into high school and chatting about like getting our 50s, although I never was even close to it. But yeah, from starting that, like, I mean, I got into Halo with Halo 3 years ago. Always sort of lurked in casual matchmaking and stuff like that, so never really got into the competitive side until I got to college or university, and then sort of played a lot more whenever I had my spare time and downtime in between classes and that. Then, like I said, like when it started Europa Halo, it wasn't actually originally Europa Halo. People who know me well, it actually started as Halo Ireland in the UK. I'm actually from Ireland itself, and just as it grew, it just grew even bigger, and sort of the demand was there for something like a community center, a community hub like that, in the grassroots level, like the amateur level for Europe, not just Halo in Ireland, and eventually we just sort of rebranded and took the leap to become Europa Halo.
Wow.
And big props to actually Halo GTHalo. He's a guy who I lived with at college, and he got me into the whole thing. And sort of as a dare, I mean, I kept complaining to him, there's not really that much for European competitive scene like a hub like this, and he says, why don't you make it? And yeah, so here I am now, 2.5 years later, and Europa Halo grassroots.
Yeah, wait. So tell me a bit about Halo GTHalo as well, because I know they've been in Halo for a while. They've been doing great things for Halo. So how does that work, and how did I guess he kind of inspire you to kick things off? So
I mean, I used to watch him code, like getting bored sometimes, and I used to watch him code and sort of dig into the API and that, and we would have went back and forth and had some discussions about like what stats he would track in that. So he might be watching right now, but yeah, eventually just from playing together quite a lot, I decided, there was nothing like a competitive really hub, like I mentioned.
Right.
And we started off with like a 2v2 tournament, and then eventually grew into cups and leagues, and like here we are now, like I said.
Yeah. And so you said you did a 2v2 tournament. Where does that even happen? Is that like in your university or college at the time, or?
No, I mean, it was strictly online. It was just like
it was all online. Okay.
And it was very hard to even get people to go. I think there was maybe about 12 teams and to begin with, and I sort of posted up a bit Twitter. I mean, it was 2 years ago back in March. So I mean, it sort of looked at the old days and how we started off. So yeah.
Interesting, because it's a hell of an initiative. It can be hard to even just start or know how to start, where to start. And this is something that I want to talk about, is just, how we can get these communities started, and then how can we grow them from there. But great, first story there. Martin, how about you?
So myself personally getting to Halo, I was competing at tournaments and showing up to some of these events without even owning a console at the time. Nice. So it was basically because of my friends. So the usual thing and the typical Canadian thing to do was you get home from school, you play street hockey until the street lights came on. Then you knew it's like, all right, dinner time. So you all pack up, go to someone's house, eat dinner, and then we'd play Halo until we had to get home. So I was more basically, shout out to my friend Michael, Insomniac Falco. He's the one who introduced me to Halo in the first place back in Halo CE. So it's crazy to, it was a way we bonded together, and it's crazy to think that to this day, all of us who are at that Halo parties are still in the same group of friends. We all still keep in touch. We're all really close with one another. So it's really, really awesome to see, to be able to put that all together. So yeah, the journey's been a very long time. Now with GTHalo, I guess you could say sort of the community kind of got together in 2006 in Aurora at the Dark Army events. And we were able to just have some good Halo 2 events happen over there, but we really didn't make the group. It was a Facebook group until 2008. So it was with myself, Kyle Crizzen. He's been a huge force into the back end of GTHalo. So it's really been with us too, and then a couple other guys as well. And it's really just been all of us getting together to where we would host events, just get together at someone's houses. So it's just, we use it as just a coordination, like a WhatsApp group or the group chat where we just simply just chat and organize, okay, whose house are we going to this weekend? And then it started to grow into something more and more to where we started hosting, okay, let's do some money events, to where we had a mall nearby called the Dixie Outlet Mall, and it had a flea market inside of it. So we actually would rent on the weekend, we'd rent a space inside of that flea market. And so you go inside a flea market, do your normal shopping, and in the middle is all you hear some guys yelling on the top of their lungs, camo in 20 seconds. Yeah. And everyone's coming over, what's the noise over here? And there's just a bunch of guys playing some Halo 3 over here. And so, yeah, that was during our Halo 3 period quite a bit. We did a lot of LANs. And, yeah, we've had a little bit of ups and downs, obviously, with games and our community getting older. That's always one of the biggest things. So we lose a lot of people because a lot of people are getting – so I started at a very young age, but the other guys who are much older than me already have a family, kids, et cetera, et cetera. It's just trying to refuel, I guess you could say, and just try to continue to bring in new players, bring in new people, and continue the legacy of Halo.
Right. So actually a totally different story than Caolyn, right? Because you started in 2008. I guess that's like the hottest time to be having events, but none of it's online, is it? It's just all LANs. You're in people's houses. You're in flea markets. Is that how it works?
Pretty much. Yeah. It was flea markets, houses.
Yeah.
Random
like the Smash Bros.
places. We have no idea where it was. Like basements, many basements.
Right.
Mad Max, Burton. Those guys hosted a lot of LANs. Superman. So those guys offering their places at the time when LAN was such a simple thing, like just bring your TV, hook them all together. 4 of you play on one big tube TV. Back in the days when no one would complain about too much about how big their screen is and lag, you know?
Right.
So, it's a different time, but it's awesome to see nowadays how much everything's changed and how we've been able to grow.
Yeah. And then, of course, continuing that, refreshing, I think, was a big thing that you said, is just the fact that these communities, at one point the game was massive, but everybody's grown up now. So it's how to get new people excited about Halo again and kind of restart, have young people, take the reins and take over those leadership positions and things like that in the future. So if we kind of go back, like you said, of course, the Halo franchise has had some ups and downs. What would you guys say are some of the biggest successes and some of the biggest challenges that you've had to face so far, leading up to the Grassroots partnership? Of course, that's a big success for you guys. Caolyn, what do you think?
Well, yeah, success-wise, Grassroots is probably up there.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was kind of, I mentioned it whenever it happened, it was kind of a dream to work with the guys from 343 if I could ever get that chance. I know that Hive's worked with them before in terms of providing stats with them for official events and that, and I always thought, if I could get to something like that too, that'd be brilliant. Yeah. But now it's a reality and it's incredible. Other than that, high points like running leagues with more teams than appeared in an EU LAN. That was pretty big. We had 34 teams involved in our last league way back last year. For EU teams, usually you get an average turnout for LANs of about 24, 25 teams.
Okay.
So, it was logistically, it was a challenge because, that's some of the challenges that you face with this. Because for the most part, until quite recently, it was just me running this whole thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so until recently, we did have 1 or 2 guys who helped me in here and there. Like I said, Halo.Hive provided a wee sub-site in which he was gathering stats and sort of helping me confirm that games actually happened because he was using the API and his custom site, but most of the time it was just myself. I've done a lot of collaborations with the likes of Martin and GTHalo before in the past, And that was great to do those sort of things, and I kind of want to do those things in the future. I've mentioned it to him. But yeah, challenges wise, until recently, like it's just been tough getting, doing it all by myself, between in real life stuff, between football, between work, between everything like that, because everything else gets in the way. But now, like I said, there's a team that I have in place, especially whenever I had the discussions with Tashi and the guys for the grassroots program. I knew that there had to be a team that had to be put in place.
Yeah.
And now we've got like my second in command, Mike. He's probably listening, and he said he would kill me if I didn't give him a shout out.
Mike.
Yeah, Mike. He's doing a great job for us now, and we've some great casters in the EU scene that we've sort of found hidden gems like Joe Sketch and Monster Bang. So I mean, there's so much like talent out there in EU that doesn't really get involved in this sort of thing, and I'm hoping to get more people involved, and takes the pressure off me now and gives me more room to breathe. But, that would be the high points and the challenges that you get with running this sort of thing.
It's got to be challenging many times, just because of like even just being like geographically just so far. Like at least in Canada we don't have a large community, but we're kind of backpacking off US right next door, right? So but for you guys it's the distance. A lot of it's online. You're establishing a community in an area that doesn't really have a large community to begin with, so it can be very difficult to do. Martin, I know. So Tony's sending me a message here saying, Martin, hopefully he can join back. I thought for a second he was.
I thought he was watching the game.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's really into it.
He's really focused. He's not blinking. It turns out he's frozen. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Anyway, you had actually, you brought up a point about collaboration with GTHalo. I think that happened in the past, or I don't know if you guys meant to do it. Did it actually happen? You guys faced each other?
Yeah, we just sort of had an exhibition sort of to try promote each other way back whenever we only really were starting to get our feet, and I know those guys were well established, but we try to, me and Martin shared very similar views on how the community should grow and on our sort of thoughts on how a community should work. And we decided, this would be a great idea to have maybe a bit of a exhibition match between maybe 4 EU teams that were put together against 4 GTHalo guys that was put together. And turned out to be a really fun, actually, experience, and I'd mentioned to Martin like we'd like to do it again sometime in the future.
You hear that, Martin?
Perfect. Yeah. Sorry, if anyone knows in Canada, our internet is not the most reliable.
Neither in Ireland too. So
yeah. So unfortunately, my internet just dropped there for a second. Just did a little reset. So hopefully it's back. So hopefully I didn't miss too much.
You're sitting outside on a porch too. I don't know if that affects Wi-Fi.
No. I think it's mainly because I don't know, maybe because I'm watching a couple streams at the same time.
Well, that's the thing is we thought you were just laser focused on reciprocity. You were just watching it, not blinking, but you were frozen sitting there. But we were actually just talking about you guys collaborated at one time, like a couple years ago. You had Europa Halo versus GTHalo online.
It has been a couple years already.
Is it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's been about a year and a half.
A year and a half.
Flew, yeah. So we set up 4 teams. Each of us, Europa put 4 of their teams. We put teams of 4 of our players together. We met at square one for ourselves. They played offline at wherever they were playing at, depending on which country. And yeah, we just had a good time. We were able to get together. Yeah, and it's a fun thing to do sometimes. Be able to just get a little bit of, I guess, rivalry. Not really rivalry, but just like some city pride. Or country pride, just spell it out with one another because you're playing against people, your local people, it means a lot more.
Yeah.
And Martin, for you, any particular successes and challenges that you've had to face, apart from, of course, the success of joining Grassroots?
Ooh, okay.
You had EGLX as well, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, so we had some awesome successes, like hosting an EGLX event twice, which was pretty awesome. We had some decent prize pools for those events. We've had lots of pro players come up through the GTHalo ranks over the years. So in the past year or so, seeing names coming almost out of the blue, guys like Musa, Druck coming in the free-for-all, Stress with the streaming, yourself with casting, Throop with casting, so Colton with production. So it's like, it's not even just one angle. So it's really cool to see every sort of put together, just seeing different guys succeed in the different areas they wanted to to grow at. And that's something pretty amazing to see. So some of the successes really you could say are the events or stuff like that, but really it's just the seeing what you guys, the rest of the community, have been able to do from learning from the Halo community and being able to gain that experience to get to bigger places. Right. So that's all. That, honestly, just seeing all you guys do well is what keeps me going. You know, if I see you guys keep getting there, keep wanting it, it motivates me to keep wanting to build it there. But so on the lower side, I guess one of the hardest points was during the Halo 4 period. That's kind of when we had the it was more that those transition years when a few of the guys are like, you know what, I don't want to learn or battle in another Halo game. So we were kind of having declining numbers. Well, because people were getting older, and it was really tough to find new players to fill in those ranks. Right. So we had that little bit of a lull period here and there, to where we're hosting old school events still. So we were hosting Halo 2 with the OG Xbox's events in like 2015, 2016. Wow. So we're still doing some of those events. And then Halo 5, I just got the cool idea of wondering, okay, how do I get people to want to show up? It's a different time than before where you weren't too afraid to where like, all right, it's in a Facebook event, let's just meet up there and go there. Sure. Most people are a little bit wary now than they were about
I'm just going to go to a basement.
Show up to some random guy's house they don't know. People these days aren't as, I guess you could say, open as we were. Sure. So it was trying to decide of, all right, where can I find a place where people are willing to want to go to? Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, okay, malls are a good idea. So I was trying to think, okay, we had most of our success at the Dixie Mall days. So I was thinking, okay, can we do something the same? Then where I got the idea of, okay, Microsoft stores, they have that little space happening behind there where they host like instructional events. So would they be interested in hosting Halo events? So when I went to Square One, which was the closest to me, I met Divian, and then I guess I could save that for a future question, but
no, well, that is the next question. It's convenient because I was going to say, you guys played an important part in 343's a recent initiative to hold Microsoft Store Halo tournaments. So how did that come to be? Because I'm pretty sure it was you guys who even kicked it off, and I know Divian is not in the same position he was back when he was in Microsoft Store.
So he could sort of attribute that to his fancy little promotion. So, but a big shout out to Divian, and you know what? That's what you got to do. You have to be able to open yourself up to cool opportunities and think, okay, you know what? If this brings people to the store, this is an interesting idea, then let's do it. And he took the chance on me and the crazy ideas I had, and he left it open and let us host a bunch of events, so which was really awesome. And we were able to continue going further. Then we started chatting and saying, okay, can other stores start doing the same? So we're like, let's try to do it. So first we talked to Detroit, who has got a big Michigan land scene. So we did a Toronto versus Detroit match going on. Then we did Atlanta. So we did Calgary. So it's just more than we try to use our influence to kind of get other Microsoft stores to start doing the same thing. And then when Divian got hired by the corporate front office, it was sort of a thing where, okay, this is where we can finally bring this and try to build communities all across the world, not just North America, but EU, Australia, wherever it could be. And by having Microsoft stores in majority of locations in North America, it at least gives a central location that people are able to go towards.
Right. So is Divian still directly associated with that then? Is that kind of what his role is? It has to do with the Microsoft Store tournaments that we have now?
He's the one running all of it.
Okay, so they just put him in a bigger role to do it all over the place, basically.
So he's the one in charge of all the Microsoft stores, planning the dates, the prizes. So we have frequent conversations. So I guess one of the biggest things right now is a lot of people are saying, you know what, I already have enough Game Pass, I don't care. We're having conversations. New prizes will be coming in the future events. Nice. So it's just more, and then try to refresh in the scene, because now it's starting to seem like a lot of people have seen enough of 2v2s, constantly Halo 3 2v2s. So start freshening it up, try to do different formats of different events. And that's the one thing I love doing with GTHalo, just trying out new ideas to come out with huge events. And I think our most popular one is the schoolyard events, the schoolyard format. So.
Yeah, so let's try, like hypothetically, let's say we're building a Halo community, because I want to know how can more people get involved in this? How can they, start to build their own community? So let's say we're starting a new Halo community here. How does that work? What does it take to start a good Halo community? Like, so what are some of the things that we would need from square one? Caolyn, what do you think?
Caolyn, go ahead first.
Yeah, you need an in guy. I mean, with with me, it was Halo Data Hive. I mean, he was sort of somebody who was able to guide me and sort of point me in the right direction with a lot of things, especially with the European community.
Okay.
Started so small, and you take your little victories, and you get you try to improve everything. I mean, you learn every time you do something. Like if you were running a cup like that, and every time online, you just got to keep looking at ways to improve. I mean, like I look back at some of the first broadcasts I do, and some of the graphics that I had for my my broadcasts were really poor when I look back at them, but they were all I could do in terms of my own ability and stuff. Like I said, it was just me.
Yeah.
But you always look to try keep improving that, keep improving the little things. The little things make the difference. A good relationship with your community too. I mean, you gotta understand where some people are having some problems. Where you can improve your own relationship with them. Who how to settle disputes. I mean, EU community sometimes can be called quite toxic sometimes, but it's not really. If you know the people who if you're sort of become a middleman, you can sort of negotiate between a lot of these two parties. Right. You just gotta learn those things in terms of your own sort of relationship with the community. But hypothetically, you just gotta keep looking to improve in ways you can improve on things. I know there's a few guys who all the time I look to see, other EU communities. Halo France, for example, we wanted them to stream half of one of our seeding cups for the league last year, and they did a great job of it. And I have a great relationship with those guys now, and I can see other sort of EU tournament organizations like Splinter, which is Prisma, who was with us with the Nightfall project, which currently is actually on hold. If you guys were waiting for a question on that, one of the guys, he had some work commitments, and unfortunately we've just had to put that whole thing on hold for now.
Oh no.
But we will come back to it. There's things cooking in the background in terms of different things away from things like that. And you mentioned things like Microsoft stores. We don't have those here.
Right. I wanted to ask you guys about that as well. Yeah. What is the situation for I know there's something being built in London apparently, right? But that's not even.
I think there's a Microsoft store. I'm not unconfirmed whether it's built yet, but I think there was talks about a Microsoft store. So we've had logistical challenges like that. We don't have our own Microsoft store in Manchester or London or Dublin or it's very difficult that way. And that's a genius idea, by the way, Martin. And it was you guys running that, and that's something that I think that was brilliant. Looking from here, just so jealous that we don't have those things. There is things like I've been in advanced talks with guys in Game. Game are quite a similar setup to like GameStop in the States and in Canada. Right. They have their own wee sort of LAN centres now popping up all over the UK and Ireland. And we sort of had talks with them, but it's kind of hard to, because you mentioned like transition, sort of we're in the transition years of now in between Halos. It's hard to gather interest. Right. With dwindling numbers and that. So those are something that I think we could look into in the future, and probably something similar to the Microsoft stores. But we're working on other things in the future too, different LAN ideas and that. So.
Yeah, so that is definitely a challenge. Because like some of the things I was thinking of, for starting a new community, and one thing you brought up that was really good was also conflict dispute as well, and just the fact that communication is so important, and that you're going to run into issues like toxicity and things like that, and being able to navigate that effectively and build strong relationships is so important. I think that's great for maintaining a community. As far as starting it, now I'm blanking on the next part, but you had, damn it.
No, okay. Wait. I talked about like in-man, you got to give your contact.
Oh, that's it, right. So you start by networking, right? Like finding like-minded people who are already involved in the industry that you could team up with that could help you start a community. That's a great way to kick it off. The venue part is a difficult part for you guys. It's like, okay, where do we go? If we partner with Game or something like that. And I wonder if the partnership with 343, and we'll talk about it a little later, if there's some way they can help you or help incentivize that stores like Game include your events in their store and say like, oh, we'll tweet or, we'll help
Yeah.
broadcast the fact that these events are happening, and then that'll give you more people coming into your stores for your events or whatever it is. It would be cool if some of those talks could happen. And then other things I was thinking is, like, let's just say you're starting from scratch. Like, what do you need as far as equipment, as far as social media platforms? And Martin, maybe you could talk about social media, because I know you're all over the place. Like, it's Discord for some things, it's Facebook for some things, it's Twitter. How does that work?
So it really depends on the type of people. So, for example, most of us, we group on Facebook. Some people don't have Twitter. They don't. Myself, I don't even use Instagram or Snapchat or any of those. I just Discord. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, but some people do. It's whatever you find works with the community, have it set up. So you want to have multiple outlets of communication, because some people will only have Facebook, some people only have Twitter, some people might only have Discord. So you just got to make sure whatever you post on there, you're posting on each one of those 3 places that you're able to go.
It seems like Discord and Twitter are absolutely necessary, though. Like, if you want your community to have a conversation, to chat with each other, to set up, to hang out, whatever it is, Discord's the place to be for that, I assume.
Yeah, Discord's really good. Twitter's really good. Facebook really helps to keep the events organized, though.
That's it,
like,
right there.
When people see the calendar, like, you have the calendar, you see the events. I'm able to invite everybody, so people can just log on to Facebook. Oh, where's the event? It says where, what time, everything. So it's a little bit more in an organized fashion, Facebook is, compared to the other 2 apps.
Right. And then, of course, having, like a proper team with people who, like, specialize in certain things. Like, I know, Martin, you have a whole variety of like, higher quality content, and we'll show some in a little bit, that was created around the events. And you would need somebody who can work a camera for stuff like that. But I guess, like, if you're just starting with the community, what kind of equipment would you need? You need, like, a PC that's reasonably powerful, and, like, a mic and webcams?
I would even tone it down much less than that. If you're focusing on a community, reality is it shouldn't matter about what everyone else is thinking about what your community is. It's about you, a bunch of your friends, or a bunch of local people coming together to enjoy the game you love. So some people are so fixated on the numbers, how many people are watching the stream, how many people are, what ranks everybody is. It shouldn't really matter. It should just be everyone just hanging out, having a good time, even competitive, just getting everybody together. So that should just mainly be the main focus, because a lot of people are like, oh, I want to make the community bigger. Work on the community members you do have and work with them to be able to get it bigger. So it's
start small and don't be upset about the fact that you're starting small, right?
Yeah, and that's unfortunately what I'm seeing with a lot of communities right now, are people trying to start communities. They want that instant success. They want to be able to say, okay, we did one, we want to be able to go bigger from here. Sometimes your next few events might go down, and that's what happened to us, probably Europa Halo as well. Not every idea and every community event is going to do well. It's like what Caolyn was saying, constant communication. So, like, for our GTHalo land coming up at Landlords, really we're bringing a whiteboard, setting up, okay, what do we want coming up for the summer? Because, of course, the summer's a big time. High school's off, college, university kids are a bit on break. So what do you guys want to see in the community? So it's basically bringing all of our minds together, trying to figure out, okay, what can we do? And it makes it feel like the whole community had an impact on what the decisions that are going to be made into the future. So that's one of the things I'm constantly looking forward to, is just what can others come up with? Because it's a tough task to be able to organize, because none of us are getting paid for what we do. I'm not making any money. We're just doing this based off our passion and being able to continue to create these communities. So yeah, start small, just keep it going, and just remember why are you building this community, I guess is the best way you could say it. It's just, are you doing it to try to reach, yes, having HCS grassroots is a great goal, but are you nothing without it? Are you with it? I know my words aren't the best right now, but it's just more like,
okay.
It's more we're able to do it regardless, and it's awesome that we're able to work with Halo. But at the same time, we're just there to continue doing our own thing. And if we continue doing our own thing and being able to inspire other communities to grow and keep going with us, that's all we can ask for.
That's great. So it comes from just a fundamental passion for Halo. It's got to be there. You got to love the game. You got to love the camaraderie and the building. Yeah, you got to love that aspect of it, and whatever grows out of it. Of course, you have far-reaching goals, and you want to succeed. You want to be a part of grassroots, but you got to be okay with starting small, right? And confident in that. there was another thing is you brought up about, and I thought this was really creative too, is having people, your community, weigh in on future events. So like, what are cool things that we can do? Here are a couple ideas, or do you guys have any ideas? Like maybe we played zombie, like what is it? What's the zombie? Infection or something, like an infection tournament or whatever it is. And I know consistency and having, organized events is like having that all scheduled out is important too. Europa Halo, you guys have a roadmap, and we'll show that in the background. Tell me a bit about that and some of the events that you're planning and how that can bring people out. So
yeah, the roadmap, it was kind of the whole way we were going to sort of sell the idea of grassroots to the guys at like Tashi, and that how we were going to commit to our own future and that, because we don't normally commit that far into the future. Right. But we wanted to freshen things up a bit. Try spread the whole format across 4v4s, 2v2s, free for alls. And like you said, you got to keep things fresh. You got to keep things, get the fundamentals right, as sort of Martin had said. And the roadmap, the power rankings, as Matty mentioned, it's kind of the incentive. You mentioned it too, ShyWay. The incentive. We have a stats team that gathers stats and sort of now makes a point system where there is that incentive for guys to stay at the top 10, stay as the number 1 in the leaderboard. Anybody who plays in our Europa Cups is put onto that leaderboard, and it will have some pull toward the end of the season, because we have another thing that we want to sort of drop come the end of our roadmap that'll involve those power rankings, something. So all those points will tally up. But yeah, the roadmap's something that we're excited about. We have that team in place to deliver that roadmap, and everything's gone so well. So far, so good. I mean, we had our first cup there. Not last weekend, the weekend before. Yeah. And we're happy with it so far. Yeah, happy with the team in place.
Yeah, and I like that the power rankings as well. Is that kind of where Data Hive comes into play, I guess?
Yeah, he wasn't too happy about me, what he called scraping his site.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, because one of our guys wrote a bit of code to sort of extract information, and when I told him about this the other day, he wasn't too happy. Oh, no. But he thought it was going to wreck his site in terms of like pinging his site and bringing it down. But I don't think it's done too much damage. But yeah, we have a stats guy who's in charge, and that's their only sort of thing that they have. They decide the point system. They decide who's number 1, who's number 10, who's number 20, and everything so far. Who's your up and who's going up and who's going down in the power rankings. We have guys now who handle the admin side of things. We have a casting team and we have a content team. So awesome. It's something like like I said, most of the time it was just myself and maybe one other guy who would have helped here and then. But now we've moved into a team of 10, and that's what we needed for the roadmap. So just to get that structure right.
Yeah, absolutely. And then any ideas? I know you have like the FFA frenzy and stuff. What do you think about like creative fun events and like silly one-off things like that?
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about like with the collaboration with GTHalo. Right. Those sort of things we want to do. We want to bring in something even, I know we had some discussions as well, sort of something thrown about as well, in terms of Content Creators Cup. There's other things we've had like draft cups. We did do draft cups, and we've had different wee things before. We're trying to look into something like a melody of cups. You play your first game Halo 1, you play your second game Halo 2.
That's cool.
Something like a best of 3 of like a melody of MCC.
Right.
So those are the sort of things we're looking into. We're looking to try freshen things up. I mean, like, I'll sort of reveal it now, but the end of the roadmap, we're planning to have a European Championship in which you play for your country. Wow. And you only get picked for your country if you score high in the power rankings.
Okay. So, Intel.
There you go.
This is exciting stuff right here. If you're currently watching.
Yeah. So we're planning on doing like a European Championship at the end, and your power rankings will determine whether you get picked for your country. So we'll have like an Irish team, a Scottish team, and that also will be across 3 different events. So there'll be a 4v4, a 2v2, and a free for all. But you can't play in more than one event. So you have to get a captain to decide who goes into which team.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So more incentive to compete and get yourself on the power ranking. Yeah, that's awesome. And just as far as like growing, maintaining communities, I find another way to help increase visibility of the community is having unique video content as well. One example of this was the Xbox All for One trailer that we have. Tony, we can throw that up and just watch that for a second.
Hey Xbox Canada, my name is Martin Omes, otherwise known as Voodoo Man, and I'm the current leader of Greater Toronto Halo. We're here at the Microsoft Store in Square One for the Halo 3 Master Chief Collection 2v2 tournament, to where we're seeing some old faces mixed in with some new faces to see who is the top players here in the Greater Toronto Halo scene.
We're like a tight-knit, grassroots community that lands like at the Microsoft stores like Square One, Eaton Center.
We all know each other, we come and compete against each other. I've already screamed once at someone, I got like a 180 no-scope, it was unreal, so.
This is my first time actually being in the GTHalo community, but what I've seen so far is everyone's super friendly.
I got into Halo by watching Twitch streams, actually. I had like butterflies in my stomach just walking in here because I know no one here. Like I met my partner 2 minutes before we started playing.
Some teams are like really good, some really good close games going on. Intense like clutch moments in games where you win by 1 kill or you make a crazy play and everyone just hype as heck.
Our goal, if we can win it, I'm all for it. I do see a lot of good competition here though, so it's gonna be tough. So far, we're looking pretty good. Haven't dropped a game yet, so hopefully we keep that up.
I feel like gaming now has become like a thing you can do with almost anyone. So I have friends at work, and now we're playing together.
When I come here, I play LANs, or I play with like friends that are like in the same house as me. Like I just feel like it's more intense, more fun.
Oh, it's way more special. When you're with friends, they can like share in the experience with you. You feel like there's like a team bond.
Playing with friends and like being with people that you want to be around, it makes it so much better.
It's really awesome Microsoft does stuff like this. It's a really good way to get the community out here.
It's natural, it's genuine. This is real fun right here.
So that's a pretty awesome trailer. Martin, where did that come from? How did that even come about to begin with?
So this was on my, continued conversations, just trying to continue to outreach to different sources and trying to figure out different things. And I ended up communicating with Matt from Xbox Canada and told him, hey, Matt, we're doing these kind of events at your Microsoft stores. I'm not sure if you find this interesting at all. So just letting you know, here are a bunch of our events coming up. This is what our community is. So basically gave him a whole resume of what GTHalo was. Nice. So we've been in talks for a while. So they've done where we had Moose and myself appear on an Xbox Alpha 1 episode and talk about being a Halo 5 professional and how to grow and how to be a pro player. So it was a whole segment on Musa on that. And I was telling Matt, hey, you should come out to one of our events and check out to see how our community interacts. So we set it up, took months of planning, but he was able to come out, bring his whole filming crew out to our event there, which was a 2v2 event, Halo 3 2v2 event, and we had a good number of teams. Everyone was interacting, and we got a good ratio of competitive player, casual players, people meeting for the first time. So it was a good balance, and that's what we continue wanting to see. For me, seeing new faces at each of our events is always what keeps me really, really happy, and just, it just gives you the little thumbs up. So yeah, we're gonna have a continued relationship with Xbox Canada going forward. Nice. A lot of cool stuff. I already know they already ordered themselves some GTHalo merch. That's awesome. They own a lot of GTHalo merch, the Microsoft Canada and Xbox Canada folks. So it's really cool to see.
And then we'll show the new merch you have in a little bit because it looks pretty damn awesome. But that's great to see. And one thing that I liked was that there were some recognizable faces. Like you had Musa there, you had Stress there as well. And I was thinking, another way to help grow these communities or give them visibility is collaboration. Like having, finding some way to work with these content creators like Stress. And we'll play up Stress's interview in the background because you have a player profile on him. And I just thought that was, that's a great way to kind of build up visibility of these communities. So Tony, hopefully that trailer goes up in the background. I know on the European side of things, you have people like Uber Nick or Batchford or Jimbo. You ever thought of something like that? I know you guys actually sent me the VOD, and I was going to break it down. Apparently, I don't know if I should say this or not. Apparently, Dynashon and Callus are working on it. So Callus,
I didn't know whether they were going to do it, but
you sent it to everybody.
If Dynashon is working on it, it's going to be
good. Yeah,
there's different things, but it was kind of like I got that message on the weekend, but I was away on an adventure. Let's call it that way. As Irish people would call it, to the pub.
Sure.
Yeah, no, there's different guys, like Batchford. We always want to get involved with Batchford. Batchford's been such a supporter of us. I know you had Jimbo on as well. Jimbo, he might have talked negatively about our whole Halo 5 thing, but we sort of chatted to him and told him there is a reason for that, and you were going to touch into it too about the whole MCC and PC, and there's a reason why we don't really have anything planned for Halo 3 yet, but there definitely is something coming in the pipework. The likes of Ubernick, we've had some sort of brief sort of passerby moments with him, and he's from my own country too. He's from Northern Ireland too, like so. There you go. Nobody from the UK other than 2 Northern Irish lads on the grassroots program. The EU scene, the streamers. I would expect those guys, at least maybe Jimbo and Bashford, to be on the grassroots program pretty soon in terms of content creation, because they're throwing out some great stuff.
Right, yeah, and I mean, yeah, and some of them, like Ubernick, is already on the program himself. He's not as much of a competitive player, but still, I think like a good person to try to find a way to collaborate with as well. And yeah, so I know anything that Dynashawn creates is going to be amazing. So we'll see what he has. But he had sent me a message saying like, Alex, are you already working on it? Because I was going to work on it. So maybe they're doing that one, or depending on what they do.
I didn't know which one. I thought you might have gone for one of the other games, but it's okay.
It's my fault. I haven't actually checked it yet. So like, I'll just kind of see what they have, and then. Yeah, and then maybe I'll go and check it out as well. I honestly, I don't know. There's so many different things I want to be able to do and figure out. So, but I do think that's a good way to help build visibility and help you guys out and help out the community overall. And that's one of the difficult things is, like you said about the Jimbo interview, is the fact that you're not really focused on Halo 3 at the moment. It's so it's frustrating, it's upsetting, but they're basically like 2 different communities, aren't they? Like I know that. You guys your Europa Halo is focused on Halo 5 right now. GTHalo has now become focused on Halo 3, but a lot of your GTHalo guys were Halo 5 guys, and they're not really playing Halo. Like I know Stress isn't playing Halo 3. Does that like make things very difficult for you guys as far as events popularity? Martin, I can't hear you right now for some reason. You're
muted.
You're muted, Martin.
Yeah, I'm muted. Yeah,
okay,
I realized that as soon as I talk. I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, so that's one of the things that I want to be able to tackle at our upcoming LAN on May 25th.
What's happening there?
It's just because we have you just said it, we have a lot of Halo 3 players, we have a lot of Halo 5 players. How can we find that middle ground and try to satisfy both sides, come up with events that both people would come up with and be happy with? So... yeah, well, we're going to hopefully wait and see. And, like you said, some people are sticking to the Halo 5, like Druck and Stress. And then you have some guys who only play Halo 3, like a Burton. So it's interesting to see.
Yeah, I know that's been kind of difficult. We'll talk a little bit more about that in MCC PC and stuff as well. And then we have, how can organizations profit so that they can continue to invest in their community, which is something I know is very difficult. Martin, you're saying you don't make any money for something like this.
No.
You do have your merch, which let's show that real quick, Tony. There it is. That looks lovely.
Oof, love that. Love that. Shout out to Acquire and Mike who put up the sign there. It's me spitballing. I was trying to say, try to put as many Canadian things, but fit our colors.
Seriously, on the shoulders and on the both arms.
I was like, hey, you want to be able to recognize us when we step into an arena, all right? So it's really awesome. But yeah, one of the things too, I guess we do make a portion of the sales of the jerseys, and all of those portions have gone towards venues or prizes for other events. So that was one of my thoughts of, okay, how do we get people to, like, how do we invest in people, and trying to figure out, okay, people want to have something or have a reason to get it, and that's one of the things.
Yeah. What do you think, Caolyn? Sorry.
You're okay. Merch wise, we were all free cups. We've never really had prizes. We had one big prize for the league last year, in which teams entered £8 a team over the 30 teams, which was a good take anyway. And then they sort of split the pot a wee bit. But in terms of like that, we have nothing. All our cups are usually free. We don't have any merch. We might have stuff. There is, like I said, there's stuff coming in the pipeline, and maybe we'll get some merch for that.
Awesome.
But yeah, so just watch this space. That would be for me. We don't have no money.
Yeah. What I'm hoping is that, somehow we get sponsorships and stuff involved as well. Things like, HCS Grassroots kind of giving you visibility, maybe encouraging something like a sponsorship to get involved and help you guys out. Now, and let's talk about Grassroots a bit, because of course, you're both partners. How did that come about? So tell me a bit about how Grassroots happened, and then what does that mean for your respective communities? Caolyn, go ahead.
Do you want me to go? Okay. I applied for it way back when it was announced, first day one, and when all the stuff came through that people were getting rejections and that, I was kind of worried about, what was the status of my own application.
We never had to work for it either. Like, you guys are the first
Yeah.
kind of like organizations, so to speak, to be a part of this.
Yeah, I know the two of us. It's been great actually, just to that we're the sort of the torchbearers and all this.
Right.
But I got an email. I decided to look at my my emails, and somebody talked about like the MCC piloting emails being in the spam filter. And I decided to look there, and there you go. There was a message from
In your spam. Oh my god.
from Tashi and the guys, in the spam, being like, grassroots application. Let's have a chat, and yeah, we had a chat, and everything went, pretty well, and we got offered a place in the grassroots. We had we were on the right same sort of wavelengths in terms of our thoughts for the community for Europe.
Right.
And where the current state of Halo is and that, and how we could support it. So it was a great conversation, and then I heard that GTHalo was going to be also on the program, and I got excited for those guys because I know those like Martin and all of these such a huge amount of work for their own community, and I was really happy for them.
Yeah, Martin, how'd you find out about it? Is it in your spam folder as well?
No. So it was one of those things where it was in the back of my mind, thinking like, okay, what could HCS or 343 really do to help us? So it's like, you know what? I might as well put in an application, put it in forward. Very familiar with 343 and working with Microsoft. So I had a conversation with Divi and ahead of time. It's like, you know what? Should we do this? And he's like, yeah, just do it. You never know what can happen. And I get a message back. I got an email and a message from Tashi and just went from there.
Yeah. So, I mean, now that you guys are partnered, what do you think are the biggest things 343 can do to help you guys out with your communities?
For me, probably just a lot of promotion, a bit of guidance and promotion in terms of, where we can go for the future.
Right.
Like we're going to be involved in some stuff. We're in talks about things like a LAN, and I'll say that, but that's all I can say.
Okay.
But they're giving guidance in terms of where we should go and how we do things. The likes of the skins and that, to be able to give away to the community, to the guys who play in our cups. But it's good to have those experience, and it gives a bit of recognition. You carry that bit of reputation and prestige now that you're on this grassroots program.
Right.
Guys who like stressing that, I was watching a stream the other day and he was like, oh, it's Europa Halo, same Europa Halos in the grassroots program, you would never have heard of us, and things like whenever I play online with the gamer tag Europa Halo now, I get messages and that, so it's good to have that recognition and that, and just that bit of exposure in terms of into the Halo community as well. Just if anything, I mean, we will not have like Microsoft stores to go to. I mean, everything for us currently is going to be online for at least for the near future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's something they can do, like we said, like in regards to venues and talking with game and stuff like that, and trying to get more lands. And you said you're kind of looking into land possibilities. I won't pry on that. As far as like prizes, incentives, and stuff like that, do you guys think the grassroots codes are enough? Is there some way you think that they could deliver more? I feel like it'd be awesome to have controllers or a digital code for like a game or something. Like those are like big incentives to really get involved.
Yeah. Something like a Game Pass or something would be pretty cool.
Maybe, maybe more Game Pass. Yeah.
Yeah, like a Game Pass for a month or something, a code for Game Pass for a month, or something like a Microsoft credit, or Xbox Store credit even would be something. I don't know, maybe something they don't want to take a chance on with Europa Halo, but it would mean a lot to us, even anything at all. The codes is great, and I really appreciate it, and it's something that maybe in the future would be nice to have.
Awesome. Martin, what do you think?
For ourselves, you know what? It's nice to have that recognition. I guess you could say more than anything. It's just like, okay, Halo knows what we're doing and they're supporting it. And our goal really is continue to do what we're doing with GTHalo, continue to grow, coming into the next phase of Halo. It's going to be a very exciting time, and I guess one of the things I'd love to do is just continue to see other communities, see other people try to grow their communities. And all I want to say is to be able to say, here, welcome.
Oh, no.
Welcome. Yeah, the timing of it was perfect, dude. He's okay. And there goes Martin. Welcome to the end of the broadcast from Martin there. I'm assuming he'll come right back in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I do want to do is transition over to talking about MCC on PC. By the way, guys, I forgot to mention this. Anybody in the chat, I know you've already been asking your questions, but and Tony's been doing a good job of making sure that happens. But of course, we're doing a Q&A at the end of the show. So any questions that you guys have for both Europa, Halo, and Martin from GTHalo, just feel free to drop that in the chat. We also have our ongoing Grassroots giveaway. All you have to do is type !Grassroots in the chat. You'll be entered into the contest. We can figure out who wins at the end of the show. You get a BR skin, you get a nameplate, some sweet goodies, same kind of stuff that I know Europa, Halo, you've been giving out as well. Yeah, and then I guess we'll get you to kick off the discussion then. So Halo MCC is coming to PC. What do you think that means for your community? And this is part of the reason, I guess, why you're holding off on the Halo 3 events.
Yeah, I mean, like Halo 3, we do support in small ways. We ran 2 Halo 3 Cups at the start of this year before we had the roadmap, and logistically nightmare in terms of trying to get a stream up, a broadcast. Yeah. Absolutely horrible because you're relying on guys that I'm picking mixer grabs or Twitch grabs to try to get one person on either's team to sort of get their point of view. And I know you probably look at that sort of thing too whenever you look at your breakdown of analysis and that, and you probably can see how difficult it is to understand where everybody is, where the power weapons is, where's the times.
Yes.
It's so difficult. So logistically, that's difficult to do, especially when you're trying to cast or you're trying to broadcast. And if somebody's stream cuts out, you only have one stream. If somebody decides to stop streaming, you may have none. So we tried to keep at least 2 people on each team when we had to try stream as best as I could. But in terms of like where we wanted to move forward with Halo 3, we just weren't sure. There's so much uncertainty about Halo 3 on PC. We weren't sure about what's the story with it, if it's going to come out anytime soon, when it's going to come out, because we know that Reach is going to be piloted at first, and we don't know whether it's going to be one every month after that, or whether it's one every 2 months, or further. So it's hard to sort of judge that we could have something down in the calendar, and then all of a sudden the entire community moves to PC. Yeah. And maybe I don't have the capabilities of this, this crappy PC that I have here that's been with me from my college days that I haven't bothered to upgrade. That's what you need
from 343 is the PC upgrade.
PC. It's let me down so many times.
Please, Santa.
Graphics card isn't the best either. A £40 graphics card that I got whenever I was in uni. So, like I said, I don't make any money, and I try to put as little as possible into it too, because I have so many other things in terms of like a mortgage and that.
I understand.
So it's hard to sort of judge where the status is with Halo 3 and the PC. I know that it's going to be different in the future whenever it jumps to PC. Will the community jump with it? Who all is going to be there with it too? Is there going to be an appetite for it? Because the whole thing, Halo community is just in transition, and we're not going to know until June 9th about maybe any ideas about where we're heading.
Right. Before we get back into that, Martin, we had cut you off, or you disconnected at welcome. You were like this, and I don't know if you wanted to finish that thought. What happened? Something about welcome to our community type. I don't know. Are you muted again? Yeah, I'll figure it out. But yeah, I agree. I think the biggest bottleneck with Halo 3 is the theater mode, for sure. From an analysis perspective, like if I want to analyze anybody's broadcast, it's difficult to get in there. I can't see the player outlines. I can't tell what players are easily to explain how a play is being broken down. It just is challenging for me. I can do POV analysis. That works. And I plan to do a lot more of that, especially as we lead up to the event on May 30th. But yeah, if you're trying to run an online league, how do you do that? You would have to get people to agree to all stream at the same time every time in order to have, and then you'd have to multi-twitch it. So it's just it's a nightmare.
No spectator mode. No spectator
mode. Yeah, that's the biggest issue there.
Somebody had mentioned.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry, somebody had mentioned that the code actually had existed. I don't know if that's true or not. And I don't know whether 343 would throw the resources into putting something like an observer mode in, given the fact that
awesome with the transition over to PC.
It would be good, but I don't know whether they would actually throw the resources into it, given that we're so close to possibly Infinite release. I mean, would they bother doing that whenever we'll only have a year of Halo 3?
Yes.
Don't know.
Martin, what do you think?
Remind me on the point I was on earlier.
I don't know. You're at welcome. You're just talking about, I guess, joining grassroots and what that means for you. And I guess just kind of having the recognition was the biggest thing that you were pointing towards.
So first of all,
yeah, you turned
I
into
was watching the game.
Okay. You're
So I'm using my other.
Oh, no.
Apologize.
Right.
But recognition and just seeing communities grow is the.
Okay. I'm not sure what it is with your microphone, but every now and then it's turning into like C3PO, like you disappear kind of, and then so as long as you're able to keep it consistent, then we're good. But otherwise I just have to kind of infer. Anyway, as far as MCC PC, what do you think about, like, because we know that it's coming out in the PC. What do you think that means for your communities is where we were at. Oh, okay. That's fine. This man's playing hard to get with me.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just he'll keep trying in the background, guys. And then, so MCC PC is kind of the bridge between now and Halo Infinite. And then, like, with Halo Infinite on the horizon, what do you think? And I mean, okay, maybe we should just get Martin back because
I'm trying every scenario right now, guys. Is it any better now?
It is better. It is better.
Okay, I don't know. Like I'm having nightmares today. I apologize, guys. But yeah, PC. You know what? It's going to be interesting because, like you said, with the vast community on the PC community, I think just because being in Toronto, we have such a diverse community in everything, we should be fine.
Right. That's fair. Let's continue it, and then we'll go to the Q&A real quick. Just it'll make things easier. But I think we got the bulk of like what we wanted to discuss covered. But with Halo Infinite coming out, and you guys having all this experience in building and growing communities, what do you think are some of the biggest things Halo Infinite needs to have to help inspire and grow more local Halo communities? I know Halo 5 in the past had issues with regards to LAN connection and stuff. It took them a while to get that LAN update. What do you think are some of the things Infinite would need?
Like you said, True LAN from the start, Forge from the start, Observer from the start. Everything that Halo 5 rolled out eventually, it needs to be in it from the start. And I don't mind if we are going to wait those extra year or so just to get it. But as long as all those stuff is actually in the package that is Infinite, then it makes everything easier for us. It makes it easier for you. You breaking down things. I mean, with all your content too. With the likes of running local LANs and stuff, you'll have an easy setup in terms of broadcast. The whole Observer mode that they have installed into Halo 5 is excellent. I mean, you get everything in terms of power ups or power weapons and that. Who has it? Positions on the map. But like Infinite, you need to have. We don't know what it's going to be. Whether people are going to play it competitively on PC or whether it's going to be Xbox, whether it's going to be cross-platform.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell at the minute. And that can bring its own challenges too for the likes of community organizations because not everybody's going to have, or the small game, not everybody's going to have a bulky PC that's going to be able to play this and be able to stream at the same time. So
yeah,
there's a lot of challenges with Infinite, and like I said, hopefully we get some answers in June.
Right, Martin, what do you think? I muted again. Rip, dude. The struggle's real right now.
Okay, for some reason, like I'm pressing my, and
yeah,
it's weird. Infinite is just
okay.
But we gotta play.
Right.
Be able to. If it goes to PC. Hopefully.
Yeah, no, it's just funny listening to you right now. I get like one word that's like nice and loud and audible. Everything else I'm like trying my hardest just to, and then you're muted again. But the biggest thing I would say, just out of what both of you guys said there, is it seems like crossplay might actually be the best thing then, like having it like as accessible, whether you're a PC player, an Xbox player, maybe not making crossplay a necessity for competitive play, but having crossplay available so that you can play on your Xboxes, play on your PCs, whatever, and allow, these communities to be built on whatever device you have essentially. And then even kind of improving mouse and keyboard support on Xbox, because it's already existing, like it's just something they've started. I wonder if from the get-go, it was, and this really brings up a whole debate and discussion about whether or not, you want your mouse and keyboard for Halo, because some people think it's going to ruin the Halo community. But if it was possible to play mouse and keyboard on Halo, then you get to choose, right? Like it's like the Fortnite community. They choose if they want to play controller, if they want to play PC, and they all come into the Microsoft Store. They all have the event together.
Yeah. Well, I think that I'm not big into the Call of Duty scene, but don't they play everything on PS4?
They do.
Competitive, yeah.
Competitive is all PS4, yeah, which is an option as well.
Yeah, so that's going to probably be the same thing that we're going to look at, or going to face us whenever Infinite comes out. What do we play on? Yeah. Do we play it all on Xbox? But then you isolate all the PC players. Guys like Ninja, who'll be, definitely be on board by the time that comes all around. You'll have such a big community being isolated if it does be competitive all on Xbox. But I know a lot of people will be annoyed at that.
Right. Yes. It does depend. I guess it remains to be seen. But you're right. Yeah, it could just all be competitive Xbox, but still have PC available, and you can have a PC-specific mode like how Call of Duty has the Battle Royale mode that a lot of PC players will play. Just to kind of wrap up here, we've got our Q&A at the end of the show. Of course, guys, thank you for including your questions. We've got Viable Manatee says best admin in EU.
That's Mike.
Mike.
Number 2 in command.
Yeah, why is that?
He's our new admin. So Mike's been handling a lot of our admin stuff, and he did a great job in the last couple, I have to say. And he's looking to, his sort of role is to start making smaller cups for Halo 3 that won't be broadcasted because of logistic reasons, but we'll be able to give admin support for those cups. So he's starting to learn the ropes and getting way more involved, and he's getting better every outing we have. He's getting better at it.
Awesome. Shout outs to Mike once again. MattyRums says, what factors do you both take into account when choosing a location for a LAN event?
Europe, for Europe, it has to be quite a...
I think I fixed it. So while you were talking, I was fixing my laptop at the same time, because I'm like, okay, this mic at least works. So at least we have something going, right?
Okay, you got a mic? Okay, well, the question was,
yes.
What factors do you both take into account when choosing a location for a LAN event?
I guess it just depends on what kind of event we're putting together. So what is my main goal of the event? So for me, if I'm trying to bring in new people, I'd try to think of a central location that's close to public transit or something that's open for many people to get to, or someone who doesn't know or isn't too afraid to go towards. Whether if we want to just have, a fun LAN or a good environment, would pick some locations. So fortunately we have Rodney, who's an old GTHalo member, opening a gaming center in Toronto right by the Christie subway station now. So it actually gives us a venue for us to hold.
Wait, is that Landlords or is that another venue?
That's Landlords, yeah. So
Okay.
So so it's really cool for us to have an extra place. But if we want to grow, it's just trying to work with other communities. So what we've done for EGLX to happen is we worked with the Smash community, we worked with the CSGO community in the local areas, and try to build it all together where we had a small piece in the whole pie. So in order to do something bigger, you can't work by yourself. There's many other games out there. There's many other communities. I have good connections with the fighting game community, Gears of War community. You got to get to know the other gaming communities and how they succeed as well in your own area. So like Toronto, we have so much, like Overwatch is massive here. So what are the Overwatch community doing, and how can I learn from that to be able to grow our own community?
That's a good point. Yeah, Caolyn, I think like especially with the FGC community, all of it is LAN for the most part, right? Like they all go meet each other at local venues. So I think finding ways to collaborate with them, you might actually find venues and opportunities. I'm not really sure how you go about it, but I know FGC is a good place to go to. Like there's a local Smash scene in everywhere. There's got to be, you know what I mean? Like it exists for sure. But
and Caolyn, if it doesn't exist, make it happen.
No, we would probably. I mean, London is probably the only real place in Europe to have a LAN. Because of how central, London has like 4 major airports itself, and it's easy cheap enough flights in terms of getting from the likes of France and Germany.
Sure.
I'd love one to be at my back door in Dublin or Belfast, but that's never going to happen. I mean, always would have loved something like that, but it's just logistics. It's not going to work. London probably the only real place. I mean, venue wise, we've been lucky enough to have some great venues recently. In terms of Wembley and the Gfinity Arena, which is, it shows how repurposing something like an old cinema or theater is so great for the esports scene, because I mean it's such a you see it on stream, it's such a great environment for esports. I mean, they do so much work with like FIFA and stuff too, and Street Fighter and Rocket League, and it just makes you, if you get on main stage there, you just love to be on main stage there. Just that sort of whole hype about it, and the camera work and the content those guys create. But yeah, LAN I can only really see for future stuff. Maybe Paris. I mean, I think there's been stuff in Paris and Germany too, but mainly I'd say anything in the future will probably be London for Europe side.
Okay, fair enough. And yeah, nice to have Gfinity close by as well. Great venue option. Warlord says, any ideas when we're getting a EU LAN event? Okay, well, it's kind of
answered that.
I could give you dates, but I can't really say, or I'll be shot.
Okay. Say too much, you're gonna have to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, but it does sound like there's talks about it. There's a chance we could be getting one, hopefully sometime soon. The Hyperactive, how many teams have gone onto a pro league from both of your organizations?
Jeez, okay, I gotta think about it. Teams, like
teams.
a full
players,
team,
maybe.
or players? Because I guess you could say for full teams, you can look back at Amp Energy, North of 49, End Results have all made huge results in the top 16 during the Halo 3 period. So guys like Crizzen, Dark Scorpion, Moniz, Mad Max, Young City, those guys have all done very well during those Halo 3 periods, Halo 2 periods. Halo 5, I guess you could say right now, Musa and Druck might be two of the bigger, most familiar names for people, but guys like Burton have always been battling there near the top. Snipedown was a temporary member of GTHalo. Can we count him?
Right, where he's in Toronto for a short time, wasn't he?
Yeah, so he was. But guys like Druck who are winning free for us, Musa's again up there. So, but in the past, we had a lot more names. CE, we had the Bow. Crap, I gotta think here. I'm thinking way back. Dark Scorpion, I imagine. But yeah, if you look up End Result or North of 49, Amp Energy, Piggy, who was on Yellow Dragons with Wise, and those guys, they had some great results during Halo 3. So it's because reality is, for what I think makes both of our communities be different than many others is that we're in locations where it's not the easiest to attend events. So you want to be able to go to our events and go achieve well in our events to build that confidence to want to spend that money to attend, let's say, an HCS event. And
Sure.
Yeah. In terms of Europa Halo, we've pretty much nearly had everybody who's went on to really gone on to do a pro league something or other in our cups. I mean, Jimbo won our last Halo 3 free-for-all cup. We've had market guys who have constantly been big supporters of us, and same with like Bashford. I think if you looked at the power rankings at the minute, the likes of SLG, Shady, these guys, they've all been big supporters of us and played in our cups and competitions, and it shows us some of the quality that we've had in our leagues and that. These guys have gone on to be in World Championships, represent EU and that. So from the Halo 5 side of things, and more recently we've had guys like Jimbo and that who are going to go off to play in DreamHack now with his own squad. On the EU side. So we do have a lot of talent in Europe that play in the Europa Halo side of things.
That's awesome to see, and hopefully that inspires more people to get involved and become part of that initiative as well. Miss Mailing Me, please. Has either org been approached for community input for Infinite? I don't know about community input for Infinite. That'd be pretty amazing to be approached for.
No, but that's not the goal, I think, of our communities. But yeah, we've been approached by Microsoft and Tier 3 on how to help grow communities.
Sure.
If that helps.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, not yet.
Cannot comment.
Okay. Interesting. The Hyperactive again. Question: will Halo move to mouse and keyboard or stay as a console thing? We don't know. What do you guys think? No idea.
No idea.
You know what? If it does, look at Rainbow Six. Rainbow Six was able to do it from moving from a console competitive scene to a PC competitive scene now, and
I feel like Rainbow Six didn't have the same kind of like long-standing following. That's why, yeah, right, because they weren't.
Didn't. But the thing is, right now you're still seeing a lot of the same names from that console to PC.
Interesting.
So people are able to, like guys like Laxing, were able to make that transition, or Skies, or Geo. So you might see a lot of those guys. I know Snipedown, for example, has been practicing here and there, learning a mouse and keyboard. I know some of the other guys are starting to pick it up too, just to be able to get familiar with it if it does happen to switch. If it does, it happens. It happens, and if it doesn't, you know what? It doesn't. And I've learned not to be closed off to any of these opportunities. We'll see where it goes, and I'm not worried about it just yet.
Yeah,
I think it'll be interesting, especially with the sort of nature of Halo. I mean, it's going to be very easy. You know, people with mouse and keyboards going to absolutely wreck and clean things up with the sniper. And rockets and that, you know, power weapons wise, but I mean, it's going to be still very difficult to get your 4 shots off on your PR or your pistol, especially with keyboard and mouse. So I think there's going to be a bit of give and take in both console and keyboard and mouse.
Yeah. One thing I have realized though, guys, if you're worried about the transition, I know I'm one of those people who just play console. I don't have very much experience with mouse and keyboard, but recently I've been trying to get into mouse and keyboard as well. And I find that if you're good at aiming on console, it's the same things, like the mental kind of muscle memory, the mentality, what you built up over time directly transfers over to PC. You'll see it. You're actually going to notice that you're hitting shots that you're having a lot of trouble flicking and hitting on controller stick way easier. Like those flick shots will just kind of come to you, and your brain's already kind of wired for it. So I think the transition is definitely possible. It can be made quickly if you put that time in. Though I could see them sticking with console. It's definitely possible because COD's done that. And they've been relatively successful in that field as well. So we'll see. It remains to be seen. SK Anarchist says, so question for Martin. Any chance you have information on any Halo 5 events at Microsoft stores in the future?
It's a conversation I'm currently having with Divian on how to switch up, have different types of events. So I can't say if there's going to be Halo 5, is it going to be Halo 3, but on the next, I guess, phase, you can say don't expect just Halo 3 2v2. You'll be seeing some variation.
Okay, cool. And
that's all I can say right now. Sorry.
No, that's fair. One thing I've noticed though is there's 3 Microsoft stores in Toronto. Do you guys have one location that all the events happen? Is it Square One or is it Yorkdale? Because it never happens at Eaton Center. And if it is at Eaton Center, then the people who come to Eaton Center have no idea what GTHalo is, and I'm there telling them about it.
So the thing is, we've hosted events at all 3 locations, and
it's kind of annoying. It should be a 1, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why we had to split up and say, okay, who's going to be the one to host these 2v2 events? And Square One said, okay, we'll take it over. Right. And no, we still have events at Yorkdale, and we want to have events at Eaton Center. It's just that we found that at Eaton Center, a lot of our players, so it's just knowing where your community is based. The majority of our community is actually based outside of the city, which is quite interesting. So getting to Toronto, getting into Eaton Center is actually much more difficult. So we found that a lot of the players found getting to Square One or Yorkdale is much more easier. But we're blessed compared to other locations to have 3 stores where most of them don't even have any, you know?
Right. That's fair. I guess it's a good dilemma to have. The Hyperactive again. Do you feel there will be support from Halo to get the NSE in the UK to run Halo for Halo Infinite? NSE is a student/school team-based tournament organization.
Never heard of them.
I haven't heard of them either. Feel there'd be support to get NSE in the UK to run Halo for Halo Infinite.
No.
Yeah.
I've never
no idea.
Heard of them, so
okay.
Can't comment.
Sorry about that, Hyperactive. Hopefully. SK Anarchist, I'm going to assume this is the last question, Tony. Just let me know. How do you guys feel about Halo 3 being heavily prioritized over Halo 5? Is it being heavily, I mean, just specifically in competitive, but I feel like there's a bit of a mix of the two. What do you guys think?
I think Halo 3, it's just refresh things and make things a wee bit more fresher. It tries to get people involved in the community and the older generation, the likes of Halo 3 kids like myself, who take an interest in it again, who maybe grew up watching competitive MLG. It's something, bring it back. I mean, EU community had its own sort of renaissance with resurgence with Halo 3 in its own day again, and it's interesting to see a sort of another coming of it But no, I think it's not a case of being prioritized. I mean, grassroots, they give us grassroots off the back of us having Halo 5 support. So I mean, I wouldn't argue and say that they're totally on Halo 3 side of things. I mean, we are going to give Halo 3 its own support, but I mean, Halo 5's run its course in terms of its lifespan. I mean, we're now usually Halo has 3-year cycles compared to like Call of Duty games with 2-year cycles. I mean, it's kind of run its own course, and it's kind of
we're
nice
in
to
year
just
4
refresh
right
it again.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, from my point of view, it's Halo 5. You had 3 years of it. You had enough of it, and you would be able to continue to go forward if we had some new. I guess you say there's a rotation of new maps coming in, a rotation of something to keep it fresh. And unfortunately, right now, there wasn't anything to be able to keep it fresh and new, where when you're watching Halo 5, everything just started getting repetitive. Everyone knew all the strategies. It wasn't as thrilling as it was during its first year. And Halo 3 had the same thing during its period. When you got from 2008 to 2011, what you're seeing in 2011, it's like, okay, PTS, okay, 10-minute standoffs, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, and you're having that in Halo 3. It's just, like I said, most people favored that from the past nowadays, but it's the most favored because, like you said, now we have a combination of old generation players and new generation players who are used to sprint abilities. And those players, as you see, are not switching over to Halo 3 because it's just so much of an adjustment that they're so far behind all the players. So, yeah, it is sort of an issue, but should they completely abandon Halo 5? No, and I think there should be a good little balance. So usually, like at DreamHack Dallas, maybe still have like a small Halo 5 event on the side for those people who want to have Halo 5, because there's people who've been grinding for that the last 3 years. You know?
Yeah. And I think the prioritization on the classic Halo side of things, not even just Halo 3, but all of those titles, I think it deserves to be there. MCC was an initiative that came up back in 2015 and just did not, land in the market in the way that it was supposed to. And I think they're finally doing right by this community. I think that Halo is a massive franchise, and there's so many people who are passionate about it. And I think doing right by them and showcasing that, they're still there for those fans, I think is so important in building a foundation coming up into Halo Infinite. And the biggest thing I can say is I can't freaking wait until we're all playing one damn game, Halo Infinite. I think that'll change everything. So, I mean, we've got what's up?
Sorry, no, I was going to say, I think Martin touched on it. I mean, support for the game is going to be huge, especially with Infinite. I mean, like you look at games like Overwatch, who have new maps and new characters and stuff, something to keep it fresh. Yeah, I mean, like you look back at Halo 5. I mean, there was nothing really. They did add maps, but they weren't competitive maps. And Forge maps, have all their own issues in terms of frame rates and that. So, I mean, I think the support needs to be there for, official HCS design maps and keep, adding those into rotation in terms of your HCS roadmap and competitive play. Or stuff like that. I mean, we got like weapons late. We talked about Observer and Forge coming late. We got weapons late as well too. Like different rocket launchers and grab hammer and all these different things that came in at different stages of Halo 5's life.
Right.
So I mean, we sort of if we can get that added support throughout Halo Infinite's lifespan, then I think the game could last longer than 3 years.
Yeah. One of the things I want to touch upon is, you said having new characters, new maps, having that refresh, because a lot of the people, yes, competitive is mainly the main focus for a lot of people, but you want to keep that population going up. So you want to have something for those casual players to easily want to hop in and play the game. Because right now, if you look at like a Call of Duty or many other games, Halo has a very high barrier of entry for many people. It's a much more difficult game just to pick up and start playing if you're a casual player. So one of the big things, split screen, making a comeback, that is massive, because that's how most of us learn how to play, playing with other friends, watching what they do, being able to go from there. So, that's why a lot of people look towards Halo 3, because it had not only a great competitive scene, but it had such a great focus on the social scene. Some of the great Forge maps came from there. A lot of great content came from there as well. So it's just being able to find that balance, because although we want to think just competitive, we want to make sure that we are finding a way to bring in new players to grow to get to the competitive scene.
Right. People love Halo for so many different reasons, and Halo 3 was a complete package from the get-go, and I think that was so important, especially for its time, and there was nothing quite like it. So yeah, I mean, hopefully that continues, like that kind of support continues. Hopefully Infinite is positioned as basically like a service, like an ongoing conversation between developers and community, and they're constantly adding it, and it's built on a foundation. Like the Slipspace engine is something that is scalable, that's malleable, that can be changed, maybe not in massive dramatic ways, but they can make those incremental changes on the fly and continue to improve the game and to keep that conversation going with the community. I think they're doing everything they can to set up that groundwork. It's just execution now. Let's see it happen. We're playing the waiting game. But in the meantime, you guys are doing great things. I think it's inspiring that you guys are growing these communities. No matter what Halo's going through, you're doing it just based off passion for the game. It doesn't, you're not coming in with the big expectations. You're starting small and you're confident in that, and just doing it for the relationships, the camaraderie, everything that comes from that, and the passion for Halo. So I think that's amazing. You guys deserve to be part of the program. I'm happy that you're a part of it, and I can't wait to see what kind of events come in the future. Hopefully just bigger, better things come from Halo as we warm up for Halo Infinite.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. I know.
No problem. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Awesome. Yeah, make sure to keep an eye. I know Twitch is main focus, but we're going to be doing a lot of our events on Mixer. So make sure to tune in on mixer.com/GTHalo for all of our upcoming stuff. A lot of big things coming with GTHalo and Mixer.
Perfect. Caolyn, where can we find you?
Europa Halo, everything. Europa Halo, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Just have a look for us anywhere. We're all over the place now at this stage.
Just past 1,000 followers on Twitter. I know GTHalo. What about you guys? You got to catch up.
Yeah, you know what? Again, we had this conversation. It's not about the number of followers. It's the quality. It's the quality. And Europe, and think about this: Europe, Toronto.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a win for Halo, regardless. And being able for them to support communities is a massive thing, because without communities and without a local scene, Halo can't grow.
Not as well, at least. I mean,
no.
I know somebody like Ninja can grow Halo by himself, but that's
but there's only one of him.
There's only one of him. As many of you guys, and you guys at the foundation, you're bringing new people into the scene, so that's so great to see. Thank you once again, guys, for joining me on the show.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And that covers today's episode of HCS Weekly. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. And of course, as always, at the end of the episode, we have our grassroots giveaway. Tony, give me the winner. Who was it? Who do we got? I'm sitting waiting here in the Discord chat until he types it out to me. Remember, guys, there's exclamation mark grassroots in the chat. You've entered yourself in the contest to win a BR skin and a nameplate. And all I'm doing is looking at Discord, waiting for Tony to send me the winner. There he is. It says, I must be Sydney. I must be Sydney wins the grassroots skin and nameplate. Congratulations. Enjoy your new goodies. And that'll close off the show for today. Of course, guys, you can support the show by checking out our merch as well. Throw that up. Of course, anything that you buy here not only supports the show, it supports me as well. And as usual, I would highly appreciate that. That closes our show for today, guys. Stay tuned. We got big plans coming up in the future weeks to come. We've got a big Halo event May 31st. It's going to be so exciting, and I can't wait to see what happens there. Can't wait to see more of you guys next week.